Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to my channel. Okay, in this few seconds, I'm just going to explain what I'm going to be doing on my channel. And so, pretty much on this channel, I'm going to be talking about the news from the NHL, the games, the action that went on. So, pretty much just everything hockey. Okay, let's get into the video. Today, the question is, how good will Auston Matthews and the Leafs, the Maple Leafs, become? So, let's get into it. So, to start it off, the last year, well, the 2016-2017 season, the Leafs went 40, 27, and 15, and they had 95 points, and they obviously made the playoffs in the eighth spot, and they went out to the Washington Capitals. I bet you they wish they played them in the second round, but nope, got to play them in the first round. But it was good for them. They got Matthews' playoff experience. So some of the players they added off this offseason was obviously Ron Hainsey is going to make a big impact, and yeah, that's pretty much it for Ron Hainsey. And then they also added Dominic Moore and other players. But so I feel like the team's looking good. Also, last year, Auston Matthews obviously had 40 goals, 4 goals in his first game. But let's get into how good can they become. So what I have is their lineup projecting out to be next year is Patrick Marleau, who they signed in free agency, playing with Auston Matthews and Connor Brown on the first line. Matthews and Connor Brown obviously played pretty good last year together. On the second line, I have James Van Riemsdyk playing with Mitch Marner and William Nylander. That's a fast line between Nylander and Marner, but that's easily a feasible second line in the NHL. It's not really above standards, and it's not like we're bad. And then I have their third line being Zach Hyman, who they re-signed, Nazem Kadri, and Tyler Bozak. It's looking good there. Everything's fine. And with the signing of Dominic Moore, the Leafs finally got the center depth they needed, obviously adding a fourth line center. But the problem they have is definitely not scoring. The problem they have is defense. Their first defensive pair is Morgan Riley, who I think as long as he keeps growing, he can easily play number 1 minutes, number defenseman. But the problem is that Ron Hainsey will be their number 2 defenseman. Okay, Ron Hainsey's not bad. He had a good playoffs with the Penguins, but he's not. He's nowhere near being a number 2 defenseman. So that's an obvious hole in their lineup. So they need to go far, and they're gonna need another defenseman to be able to play. They're still going to need another right side defenseman. Their second pairing is Jake Gardiner, Nikita Zaitsev. That's not bad. Zaitsev, I don't really know if he's top 4 material. Same thing with Gardiner. I think Gardiner for a little bit can play top 4 minutes. Won't be that bad. But as their final pair, I have Connor Carrick, who easy top bottom 2 defenseman, and Alexei Marchenko. So they have a definite problem on their D line, but we have to look into how good will they'll become. So if we're gonna talk about cups, I don't think this year in the 17-18 season the Leafs will be contending for a cup unless somehow Matthews goes amazing. Their defense clicks, they get outstanding goaltending from Anderson again, and their goaltending's fine. But I don't see the Leafs contending for a cup in the 17-18 season. But I think they definitely are built for the future because they also have prospects in Jeremy Bracco, who's pretty good second round pick, pretty good draft steal, and then they also have Timothy Liljegren, who I think is going to be good for them. But so I don't think they're going to contend for the cup this year, but I think 2 years or maybe even 3 years, if something goes wrong, they'll be contending down the road because they have to add that top line right side defenseman who's not teams aren't just giving away right-handed top 2 defensemen, and definitely aren't giving away top 4 defensemen. But things are looking good for the Leafs down the road. All they have to do is um, add better defense. They need better defense, and they need their forwards. I mean, maybe you can. I don't really think you have to worry about Matthews and Marner and Nylander needing to develop that. But the big thing is next year is the one problem I think could come up with the Leafs, same thing with the Oilers, is cap space because Matthews is probably going to want 10 million. N- Nylander's probably going to want 6 million. Marner's probably going to want 6, 7 million. So you have 22 million wrapped up in 23 million wrapped up in three guys, and it's definitely not a problem. You look what Pittsburgh's done; they get cheap guys on cheap contracts to play the depth role, then you get your core sign, and it's obviously one of two cups. But if there's going to be one problem with the Leafs in the future, it's going to be cap space. And another reason I don't see the Leafs contending this year is I don't really think the sophomore slump's going to hit them. I don't even think that's a real thing. But yeah, that's the only reason why. But with the Leafs, since they were in last place yet last year, they come up and make the playoffs. Everything's looking good. Now, if I want to project where I think they'll finish next year, I think they'll probably finish third in their division, and that's really, if you want to make the playoffs and you're an Atlantic Division team, you have to finish in the top three because every team, I think every team in the Metro is playoff capable of making the playoffs besides the Devils. Because you have the Flyers, who are obviously up on the rise. They get a stable goaltender in the regular season, and Brian Elliott. Obviously, add Nolan Patrick. They have prospects coming up, but this is a video about the Flyers. Then you obviously have the four teams that made it last year, even though the Caps are easily on the decline. But yeah, so I think in the future, the Leafs are going to make the playoffs. They're going to have to make it in the Atlantic Division, and I could see the Leafs finishing as high as second in the Atlantic. I don't see him winning the division because the Lightning are looking really, really strong. But yeah, the future's really good for the Leafs, and everything's looking up. All they got to do is just add defensemen, and I think the nearest time they'll be able to win a cup is definitely. I think in 2 to 3 years the Leafs will be contending for the cup. I don't see next year, and maybe not even in 2 years if they can't add that key defenseman. They have one in Morgan Riley, but they don't have another key defenseman, and that's what you need. You need defense. It's obviously shown you go deep in the playoffs with defense. But yeah, that's it. Okay. Now let's get in discussing how good I believe Auston Matthews will come. So I definitely don't think Auston Matthews is on the level of Connor McDavid. I need to clear that out. Connor McDavid to me is the best player in the league. I believe he's better than Crosby, but that's an argument for a different day. But yeah, so I believe Auston Matthews, he's definitely the top, definitely gonna be a top three player in the future. If you score 40 goals in your rookie year, I think that gives you a good future. And he's definitely, I believe, if Jack Eichel played a full season, I believe Matthews is neck and neck with Jack Eichel, or probably ahead of Jack Eichel, and he's better than Patrick Laine to me. Even though Patrick Laine may be a better goal scorer, but if Auston Matthews just gets more assists, he's looking at probably something plus points. But next year, I can see Matthews getting definitely. I think you can pencil in 30 plus goals for Matthews if he plays a full season healthy. May hit the 40 goal mark again. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 40 plus, but I don't think he'll hit 50. But I can definitely see in Matthews, I believe Matthews will get 70 to 85 points. I don't see him reaching 90, but you never know. Connor McDavid hit 100 in his second year, but again, Matthews isn't McDavid, but Auston Matthews is definitely going to be a top two. I believe it's the next thing of Ovechkin and Crosby, except McDavid being Crosby and Matthews being Ovechkin. Matthews a better goal scorer. McDavid the better player, but yeah, the future is definitely looking up and up for the Leafs. They went 10 years without making the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. 50 years without winning the cup, but I think that drought won't end this year, but it definitely end sometime in the next 3-4 years. But yeah, everything's looking good for the Leafs, and yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new to this channel, even though I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video is, because I just made this channel today, so yeah, If you're browsing your way through the channel, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and thank you guys for watching. Peace.